being nice might be destroying you. Because the fawn response, the fourth trauma reaction nobody taught you about, isn't kindness. It's a survival instinct screaming for help. Here's what almost nobody tells you. Your body is supposed to have three ways of surviving a threat. You fight it, you run from it, or you freeze until it passes. That's the map most of us were handed. But there's a fourth one, and it hides in plain sight. Because it doesn't look like fear at all. It looks like being lovely. It looks like the friend who never says no. The coworker who apologizes for things that were never their fault. The partner who feels a mood shift in a room and starts smoothing it over before a single word is spoken. That reflex has a name now, and once you learn it, you can't unsee it in the people around you, and maybe in the mirror. So let's walk through where it comes from, why a nervous system would ever build such a thing, and what, underneath all that agreeableness, it is quietly trying to protect. Start with the small moments, because that's where this lives. You get a message that stings, and within seconds you're softening your reply, adding an exclamation point, a little smiley, anything to keep the peace. Someone raises their voice, and your instinct isn't anger. It's to make yourself smaller, agreeable, easy. A friend cancels on you again, and you hear yourself say it's totally fine when it isn't fine at all. None of this feels like survival. It feels like manners. It feels like being a good person. That is exactly why it's so hard to catch. The behavior is rewarded everywhere you go. People call you thoughtful, low maintenance, easy to be around. Nobody sees the quiet arithmetic running underneath, the constant scanning of other people's faces, the tiny adjustments, the endless work of keeping everyone else comfortable so that nothing bad can happen to you. You don't even notice you're doing it. It just feels like who you are. And the strangest part is how invisible it stays, even to you, because a survival skill this smooth never announces itself as fear. Watch what happens in a real conflict. Two people disagree, voices climb, and something in you goes very still and very strategic. You stop tracking what you want. You start tracking what they need to hear to calm down. You agree with things you don't believe. You take blame that isn't yours. Afterward, you replay it and feel a strange shame, because you gave away ground you never meant to give. Psychologists who study this call it appeasement, and it is older than any of us. When a threat is bigger than you and faster than you, sometimes the smartest move your body has isn't to swing or to sprint. It's to lower the temperature, to signal, in 100 small ways, I am not a danger to you. Please don't hurt me. That signal can save a life. It has saved countless lives across the long history of our species. The problem only begins when the danger is long gone, and the signal never learns how to stop. That instinct is not cowardice. It is ancient, and it is wise. To understand why the fourth response went unseen for so long, go back to 1915. A Harvard physiologist named Walter Cannon published a book on how the body reacts to pain, hunger, fear, and rage. He described the surge of adrenaline, the racing heart, the blood rushing to the muscles, and he gave it the name we still use today, fight or flight. It was elegant, it was measurable. You could see it in an animal, in a lab, in your own chest before a hard conversation. For decades, that was the whole story of threat. Two options, wired into the oldest parts of us. Later, researchers added a third, freeze, the deer in the headlights, the prey that goes rigid because stillness is sometimes safer than speed. Three responses: fight, flight, freeze, a tidy, physical, respectable science of survival. It explained the pounding heart and the frozen limbs beautifully, and it was still missing something enormous. Cannon watched cats and dogs, measured their blood, mapped the panic. What he could not measure in a laboratory cage was the child who calms the very thing that scares them. Here's the blind spot. All three of those responses assume the threat is a predator, something you can hit, outrun, or hide from. But most human beings aren't hunted by lions. We are shaped by people. And the most dangerous situation a child can face isn't a wild animal in the dark. It's a caregiver who is frightening and necessary at the same time. You can't fight the person who feeds you. You can't run from the house you depend on. Freezing only buys you seconds. So a child caught in that impossible bind reaches for a fourth strategy, one the textbooks never named. Make yourself pleasing. Anticipate the anger before it lands. Become so attuned, so helpful, so easy to love that the threat itself softens. For over a century, trauma science studied fight, flight, and freeze, and completely overlooked the children who survived by winning over the very people who were hurting them. A lion you can see coming. A parent's changing face you have to predict every single day before it changes. And the person who finally named it wasn't a neuroscientist in a lab. It was a therapist named Pete Walker, and he had lived it. Walker specialized in complex trauma, the kind that comes not from one terrible event, but from years of it, usually in childhood. He was a survivor of childhood abuse himself, and working with his clients, he kept noticing something the three classic responses couldn't explain. These people hadn't survived by fighting or fleeing. They had survived by pleasing, by caretaking the very people who hurt them. He recognized it instantly, because he had done it too. So he gave it a name, the Fawn Response, and in his 2013 book, Complex PTSD, From Surviving to Thriving, he set it beside fight, flight, and freeze as the fourth F. Think about what that means. It took someone who had lived inside the pattern to finally see it clearly from the outside. Science had the data for a century. It needed a survivor to read it. The map had been complete for 100 years and still left millions of people unable to name their own reflex. So why does a nervous system ever choose this? The answer sits in a single, brutal detail. Fawning tends to take root when the source of the threat is also the source of connection. Read that again slowly. When the person you're most afraid of is the same person you most need to love you, a parent, a caregiver, your brain faces a problem it cannot solve with fight or flight. Escaping the danger would mean escaping the bond you need to survive. So it splits the difference. It keeps you close and it keeps you safe by making you indispensable. Agreeable. Attuned to every flicker of someone else's mood. Your own emotions get filed away as luxuries you cannot afford. Their comfort becomes your early warning system. This isn't weakness, and it certainly isn't manipulation. It is a child's genius solution to a situation no child should ever be asked to solve. And a solution that good does not simply switch off when you turn 18. It simply goes underground, dressed up as personality, and follows you into every room you'll ever walk into. Now watch what that child carries into adulthood, long after the original threat is gone. In relationships, you become fluent in everyone else's needs and illiterate in your own. Ask what you want for dinner, where you'd like to go, how you actually feel, and you draw a blank because for years, having preferences was dangerous. At work, you're the one who says yes to everything, absorbs the extra task, never pushes back, and quietly burns out while being praised for your attitude. You over-apologize. You explain yourself for things that need no explanation. You feel responsible for other people's moods as though they were weather you personally caused. And here's the cruel twist. The very trait that once kept you safe now keeps you unseen. People fall in love with the version of you that has no needs. So you keep performing it, night after night, and you keep quietly wondering why nobody ever thinks to ask how you're really doing. You mistake being needed for being loved, and you build an entire identity on the difference. There's a cost to all this, and it is quiet, which is exactly what makes it dangerous. When you spend your life reading the room, you slowly lose the ability to read yourself. Your own anger arrives late, if it arrives at all. Resentment builds in a place you can't quite locate. You say yes with your mouth while something in your body says no, and over years that split takes a toll. The tension headaches, the tiredness that sleep doesn't touch, the strange sense of being a guest in your own life. And relationships built on fawning carry a hidden fault line. You draw in people who are perfectly happy to be pleased. You keep the peace so well that no one ever realizes there was a war going on inside you the whole time. The person who never causes a single problem can wake up one day inside a life that fits everyone but them. And no one hands you the receipt until the bill is already overdue. But here's where it turns, and this is the part that matters most. The fawn response is not a character flaw, it is intelligence. It's your nervous system doing precisely what it was built to do, keep you alive and keep you connected in a situation where those two needs were at war with each other. Psychologists sometimes describe it as the genius of the nervous system, and that word is chosen on purpose. A child who learns to sense danger before it arrives, to soothe it, to stay close and stay safe at the very same time, that child is not weak. That child is extraordinarily skilled. The empathy, the attunement, the ability to feel exactly what a room needs, these are not defects to be ashamed of. They are gifts that were forged under enormous pressure. The problem was never the skill. The problem is that the skill is still running an emergency that ended a very long time ago. You were never broken. You were brilliantly, painfully well adapted to a world that asked too much of you far too soon. It's worth being honest here, because this idea has traveled fast. Fawn didn't emerge from a controlled laboratory the way fight or flight did. It came from clinical observation, a therapist watching a pattern repeat again and again and naming it so people could finally talk about it. That is how a great deal of psychology begins, and researchers are still working out exactly how appeasement operates in the nervous system. So be careful with the pop psychology version, the one that slaps the label fawn on anyone who has ever been polite. Kindness is not a trauma response. Generosity is not a wound. The difference between them is freedom. Real kindness is a choice you could actually decline. Fawning is a reflex you can't switch off, driven by a fear you might not even feel anymore. One of them flows from fullness. The other flows from a very old, very deep need to be safe. Naming a pattern is not the same as proving a mechanism, and good science holds both truths at once. The recognition is real, and the biology is still being written. So what do you actually do with this? You don't fight the reflex, because fighting it is only more of the same. You practice something gentler, the pause. The next time a yes leaps out of your mouth, try to catch it, and give yourself one honest sentence. Let me check and get back to you. That tiny gap is everything. Inside it, your nervous system gets to learn, maybe for the first time, that a single moment of not pleasing someone did not end in disaster. Do it once, and it feels deeply uncomfortable. Do it 100 times, and something slowly rewires. Because here's the line worth carrying with you. You learn to disappear to survive, and you get to reappear to live. Safety used to mean managing everyone else. Slowly, quietly, it can start to mean telling the truth and staying anyway. That is not selfishness. That is the self coming back online. Think back to that smile from the very beginning. The pleasant, tireless, agreeable one. It was never fake. It was a frightened child's brilliant idea, still faithfully reporting for duty in a war that ended long ago. The niceness was real. It was simply doing a second job you never agreed to take. And there is nothing to be ashamed of in that. It kept a younger version of you safe when nothing else could. But the danger has passed, and the guard doesn't have to stand at the door forever. Tomorrow, when you feel yourself reaching to smooth a mood that was never yours to fix, you'll recognize the reflex, and you'll know exactly where it first learned to run. That recognition changes nothing about your kindness. It only changes who is in charge of it. And that is the moment the old survival smile stops running your life and finally becomes just a smile. Same face, new owner.